the area of Lizmore, heading down to the Blackwater ferry location where a man, the Irish stroker Valentine Greatrakes, was born, where he died, where he performed many of his healings on his own farm there. The rain stopped. There's a bridge here. Blackwater is over here. You can see it is quite high today. A little bit of rain. I don't know if you can spot that or not. The Blackwater would have been extremely important river, especially in the Middle Ages. It was made y'all one of the predominant ports in the British Isles. And such a large river flows right in to the sea. And I imagine this would have been the road that they would have traveled on, being right next to the river, up and down. Of course, we know they had boats that they used also to transport much of their stout that they and fruit they were growing. There's records of that in a book on the Blackwater that was published a few years ago, and I know the author, and it's quite the book. I'll have to look up the reference. Now the area that we're going, where Greatrakes' house is owned now by the Jameson whiskey family, and they are growing at times corn out there and barley. Wonder, maybe drinking some of Greatrakes' whiskey from his own land. Come in here. Actually, they placed a few years ago a little plaque here up in honor of Greatrakes. So there is more and more recognition going on. I'll get out and show you this real quick. In my other car, there's not many people out here. All this farmland here. And so they put this little plaque here at this junction that tells the story of Valentine. And they've got it also in Irish right here, English and in Irish. Not too far, his house is going to be right back up here. We'll see that in a moment. This would have been the road that Greatrakes would have traveled up and down on his horse or walking. And many thousands over the years would have traveled down here or on the boat up the Blackwater, most likely on a horse or walking, to come for a healing, to get the relief of their sickness. And many left healed and glorifying God because of it. Here we are at the Blackwater, and I'm going to park right up here and walk up. Here we are. Greatrakes' home is right up the alley here. We'll take you. Here's the Blackwater. Y'all is down this way. Cappoquin is right over there. More of the Affanc area is right here. And then you're going to head up that way for Lizmore. And actually, historically, they say this is where St. Declan, the legendary saint of this area of Waterford, pre-Patrick, crossed the Blackwater heading to Ardmore, which was up here. Beautiful. If you ever get a chance to come here, go to Ardmore. Absolutely gorgeous town with a round tower. So we're going to head up here. Again, this would be the place where many, those seeking healing and comfort, would have come for Valentine to pray for them, to stroke them and lay hands on them. Amazing. Now here's an old cottage here. I think it was owned by the Corey family, or a family that actually ended up moving to Britain and to New Zealand. There's a little article about them I've read. So here we go, walking on to what's now owned by the Jameson family, as I mentioned. And there it is. I don't know if you can see it or not. That's that structure down there covering in ivy is going to be it. Now it is muddy, so we're going to make our way. Now a lot of times you come out here and the corn is up to your shoulders, or up to your waist at least. And here we are, the place where he was born, the place he's going to die, the place where thousands of people are going to be stroked, and I believe healed. And we'll get a little closer. Here I am in the interior part of the building, what's still standing. And it looks, this would have gone up maybe three stories of the fortified houses at that time would have, called castles now. Oh, there's a tree growing right in the middle here. So obviously a long time. But of course, Greatrakes' grandfather built this. His father lived here and farmed, and they were growing lots of fruit and producing stout. So the best stout in Ireland. They still produce stout, not them, but others still do in this area. And absolutely amazing. Very beautiful, very interesting historically. If the walls could only talk to us. Now, also it's interesting, at one point there's so many people that are coming for prayer and for healing, and they're staying not only here, but in his other kind of little farmhouses, barns, things like that he ends up having to move to y'all. And we'll talk about that at another time. We saw some smaller windows over here. I would love to see if they could have some type of blueprint or idea how this was laid out. It seems very tight room here, but very much not an open space. And then you have the tower here. You've got these windows. I forget the name of them, but where it's wide and narrow. I don't know if this would have been a larger window. At least up there it would have been fascinating. Well, this is it. This is the house. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that snippet of our good friend Valentine Greatrakes. So a little snapshot of interesting 17th century history that is becoming more known. Greatrakes' story is getting told more now, and more people are interested in it. So the more research, the better. So true scholars, continue to dig in and do your amazing work and keep us interested in this man's life. The rain's coming down, but I had to get this one last little clip from Cappoquin. This is where the castle was, where he stayed for that 1 year. And the only known little monument, if I can even recognize that, you can see that. It says Valentine Greatrakes, 1628, 1682. Famous healer, known as the stroker. Spent year of 1649, Cappoquin Castle. Anyway, fascinating. Right here, the castle was there. It's been gone for a long time. And I met the gentleman once that lived here. And what's funny, he told me that right back there was what you call a, this is Castle Street, by the way. It's what you call a animal pound, where if your cow or your goat or your sheep wandered into town, they would catch it and stick it back there. And that's what his family did for years. I'm here and I'm at the Lizmore Cathedral. Now, this may not be the cathedral that it may have been in disrepair at that point. There was a church here from the 7th century, but this seems to have gone in disrepair. There may have been another location. We do know the bishop of Lizmore, a very high standing gentleman in the Church of Ireland, called him to himself once healings began to happen and told him, no more. You can't be doing this anymore. And Greatrakes said, sorry. I mean, at first he obeyed the bishop, and then after a few days he changed his mind. And so we don't know. Did he come here for that? We're not sure. I don't think so, based on what they've said, but it could have been to this church. I think it was in disrepair at that point, but I don't know where the other location may have been. But it's here that some believe that Greatrakes is buried, but we don't know. There's no records of where he's buried. Some say here, some say at a graveyard closer to his home in Affanc up the river. But he would have been, again, in school in Lizmore till he was 13 at the free Lizmore school, which I've tried to find out where that's at, but no one seems to know. And so, Greatrakes, if you're here, greetings from the living. Thank you for your contribution to history and to the things of the Spirit. God bless you. Thanks so much for joining with me today.